Oil and Napa Foods.
Ghana National Association of Teachers fears basic schools face imminent shutdown over delays in the payment of capitation grants.
Also coming up, Health Minister assures childhood vaccines in short supply will arrive in Ghana in the next 3 weeks.
And elsewhere on the foreign front, Mali's military rulers postponing constitutional referendum. We've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Let's know what you make of the stories. Send them coming in on any of our social media pages, and we promise to share them with the rest of the world.
Well, beginning with health, as government says it has paid $6.5 million to UNICEF for supply of measles vaccine. There is shortage of vaccines dating back to November last year. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu was answering questions on the shortage in Parliament.
At the time when I went to the ministry, right, I was so worked up. We're trying to negotiate with Gavi and our donors to actually continue to give us vaccines once we started paying for the arrears. We inherited over $15.8 million equivalent in vaccines. There was shortage of vaccines, and we even had recorded close to about 358 infections in that particular year, 2016. I have statistics here. Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious, public interest issue. The assurances I will give, and I can give for the first time in the chamber here, that this will not happen again. And I will advise that you help me in my advocacy to get adequate funding for vaccines, even the health insurance budget, right? So when we meet with committee, we have always been talking about it, and even in the chamber, it has come up, so that if Parliament approves adequately for us, we always have our budget well defined, we will be able to supply. And I'll assure you that whatever challenges that happened, I don't think we are going to face these possible challenges any longer. And I've stand here and assure the House that within the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we will get vaccines, possibly even probably before that. Even probably before that. See, I can't lay my hands on specific dates, but even probably before that, we may get the vaccines, probably even earlier than the 3 weeks that I'm talking about. Throughout the period, we made close to $6.4 million equivalent to UNICEF, who supplies us the vaccines.
Well, Professor Fred Binka is a clinical epidemiologist and has joined us via Zoom to dissect this a bit further. Good evening, Prof, and thank you for joining us on News 360. Now, parents have expressed concerns about their children not getting vaccines when they go to these health facilities. Do they have any cause to worry? Prof, if you can unmute quickly so we can hear you.
Yes, they do have cause to worry, and this is a very important public health intervention that we've worked over the years to develop. Measles itself is a virus, and if your child gets measles, the chances that the child will survive are very slim because he will die of other complications like diarrhea, pneumonia, and so on. So the best approach to measles is to make sure that your child is protected. And if you look at the other two vaccines, polio leads to short paralysis, and it can lead to long-term paralysis of the child. So it doesn't help us if we create shortages within the system. Secondly, and most importantly, it also disrupts the EPI system that has been developed since 1979. We started at 6%, and we are now around 98%. And we still cannot reach about 9,000 children with the API vaccines. So these disruptions are not necessary. They are created by us, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have paid the money on time and expect to get the vaccines when we are ready with our money.
But the health ministry assures us that they will get these vaccines to these health facilities in the next 2 weeks or less. In the meantime, what do you suggest should be done in these facilities?
Unfortunately, there is no solution. What we need to do now is to help those who see the patients to have decide on the protocols that will be used in case the children come with measles. For polio, in fact, the polio one is one that also disturbs me because last year, if you remember, in September, October, we set up a system to catch up with the polio, the kick out of polio. And we targeted 7 million children to have the polio vaccines in September and in October. And then we get into the new year, and then we are short of polio vaccines. So something is basically wrong with the system. There's nothing we can do about polio. If your child gets paralyzed, that is a very difficult thing to grapple with. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, Prof, then that means that if we're unable to get these vaccines as quickly as possible, things are going to get a lot more worse.
Definitely getting a lot more worse for the two vaccines. Measles, first of all, will spread very quickly. It's so good at spreading, and it will spread very quickly across the country. And I think it started in the north and is almost reaching the coast now. Polio is the same thing. We had the 2 cases in the north, which led to this catch-up vaccination that we had in the North Gonja district, if you remember, in the Savannah district. We had 2 cases in the Savannah district, and we have to immunize 7 million children. So the disruptions do not help us at all. Once we see more cases of polio, which the world is trying to get rid of, we will have to vaccinate more and more of our children till we don't see it anymore.
Well, but Prof, we have a lot of these kids coming from the Sahel region, coming on the streets, begging. We come in contact with them sometimes on a daily basis. Are we in trouble looking at where we are right now?
Yeah, obviously, from the cases that we've seen so far, the measles started from the north, and I'm sure it might have been linked to the children who were coming across the border with the disruptions that were happening in Burkina Faso. Our coverage is much higher than that of Burkina Faso, and I'm sure we didn't have enough then to immunize these children. Normally what we do is that the health people get into those camps and they try to immunize the children who cross the border to make sure that we can protect our children. So they've moved in, they come here, and that's why measles vaccination is free. Those you see around the streets can also be immunized if we find them and we encourage them to go to the immunization centers. We don't demand for payment and we don't demand for nationality. We have to protect everybody in the country.
Grateful for your time this evening, Prof. Professor Fred Binkah is a clinical epidemiologist.
Right, Portia, and still in Parliament, and the House has been debating the President's State of the Nation address delivered on Tuesday, March 8, 2023. Parliamentary correspondent Komla Kluche joins me live for more updates. Komla, thank you very much for your time. Can you give us updates as to what's been happening in the chamber today?
But it was quite a frontal one between the Ningo Pram MP Sam George and the Defense Minister Dominic Nito-Oba, whose government has the best track record in the retooling of the military in the Fourth Republic. Now, debating the President's State of the Nation address, the majority has stressed its record is unmatched, whilst the NDC thinks that the State of the Nation as presented by the President was just a debt exchange haircut on the truth. And then this ensued in the House this afternoon.
Speaker, it's not just the hardware that this president has invested in. It's not just the recruitment drive that this president has done for the security agencies. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, for the armed forces in particular, the salaries and allowances of armed forces have been more than tripled. It's the same thing with the police service, same thing with the other security service, because A hungry soldier is an angry soldier. The naval headquarters, the Minister for Defense, he is the minister who oversees the navy of our country. The Ghana Naval Headquarters in Bema Camp was commissioned on the 11th of August 2016 by President Mahama. That the minister doesn't know. Mr. Speaker, on the 19th of October 2012, President Mahama commissioned hangars, simulators, and aircraft for the military. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama commissioned security housing in Tema, 136 two-bedroom units and 32 three-bedroom flats. If those are not housing for the military, I don't know what the defense minister is talking about. Mr. Speaker, in Labadi Villas in Bema Camp, which is the heart of our military installation, President Mahama commissioned housing units for officers of the Ghana Armed Forces. In Boteman, the affordable housing projects that were abandoned by President Kufuor, when President Mahama took over, 6 of those units, and I'm happy that the former housing minister is here. Honorable Atachia, 6 of those 48 unit blocks were handed over to the Ghana Armed Forces and completed by the President Mahama administration. We have men of our armed forces in Boteman.
Right, so Kamala, we've seen that back and forth that transpired in Parliament today. What else has been happening in the House today?
Well, it's been purely about the State of the Nation address, the debate on it. I mean, we had on communication, Sam George spoke about it, as well as the communications minister herself also speaking on this matter. But even prior to the starting of the debate, which is the day 2 of it today, the women in Parliament were celebrating International Women's Day. They've been canvassing, saying that, well, now the approach should be that it should be a 50-50 allocation when it comes to the placement of jobs, when it comes to opportunities, because they've shown over the period that they are capable of doing and even managing the affairs of the state even better off than that of the men. The member of parliament for the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency led that and then had support from others. But I mean, they were not able to celebrate it because on that day, the president gave the State of the Nation. But beyond this, next week, the House is expected to continue the debate on the State of the Nation on the other sectors of the economy.
Kamala Kluche, our parliamentary correspondent, thank you very much.
Let's move away from Parliament because Director, Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping and Training Center, Professor Kwesi Anin, says the government must lead the way in finding a solution to what is increasingly becoming a weakened military-civilian relationship. He spoke to TV3 following the recent military brutality meted out to civilians at Ashaiman.
An intelligence-led operation does not result in 184 people being arrested for one crime. How do we repair the damage to people's sense of identity? How do we repair and pull back from societies of fear? How do we ensure that this sense that the state of Ghana has failed its own citizens is not exploited by those who want to hate us? Ashaiman fits, unfortunately, into that long history of what is increasingly looking like a weak civil-military relations culture in the Fourth Republic. And when Edra happened, and I had argued that this was symptomatic of a frustration within society and increasing tension within society, the uniformed forces in the Ashanti region then took it as an opportunity to lambast and to abuse me. I hope they will be bold enough to come on your station and to say, Kwesi, we are very sorry. Our assessments of the problems were very wrong. What should the political direction be in terms of how the military performs its duties towards the people of Ghana? The Ghana Armed Forces itself, through its statutes, is very clear as to what it can do and what it ought to do and how it must be done. And I think when the deputy minister has agreed that there were excesses, it opens the way for some inquiry. And I think it's a necessary thing to be done.
Justice Abdullahi is a private legal practitioner and also a law lecturer. He joins us live on Zoom. Thank you, sir, for your time, and good to have you on News 360. Your views on the development so far, especially regards to the sanctioning of the operation by the military high command. What is it?
I think if I joined the clarion call and already overflogged condemnation, it is indeed not out of place that the entire operation was not only unlawful but also uncalled for. It's marks of uncivilized society, and it's a reflection of a Stone Age misconduct that was meted out to the people of Ghana. I mean, I do not think that this is just a misconduct meted out to the people of Ashaiman alone, because it's a conduct that reflects the Ghana Armed Forces. And so the entirety of Ghanaians are the victims. And I think the overwhelming condemnation is in place. I mean, it's the right thing to do. And the unlawfulness should be not only be condemned and be left to stand, but also be investigated, appropriately investigated and prosecuted. I think that whoever was involved, from the topmost approval person to the last person who either out of the order given him or his own zeal or overzealousness to show some people where power lies, all those persons should be appropriately investigated and be brought to book. And the innocent naturally be adequately compensated and the necessary apologies be given to them. I think this is the highest form of misconduct ever witnessed, at least since the days of military rule, and we can never allow this to simply wash. We need to find appropriate means of ensuring that those involved are appropriately brought to book.
Well, we're told the intelligence, the so-called intelligence operation by the military led to the arrest of over 100 people. It took more than 72 hours to release over 70 of them. Does it surprise you that the president, in his State of the Nation address, did not have this matter feature prominently, and also that we've not seen that level of condemnation from high public officials?
Indeed, I wasn't surprised that the president could not make informed comment about this, because I do not think he had been appropriately briefed on this, and so it is just normal that he waits to be well informed about it before.
Have to be appropriately briefed?
I do not think that, because the issue had happened less than 24 hours before the president made his comment, and so as a result, I do not think that he had been appropriately briefed on this, and so which is why I believe that his reluctance in commenting on it should be accepted, but the continuous silence is rather what should be questioned, and not the fact that he did not comment on it on the day he had the opportunity to address the entire nation by the constitutional injunction placed on him. But subsequent to that, I think the president should have had the opportunity, but he has had enough time to say something to soothe the pain and the agony that the people of Ashaiman have gone through, and indeed the people of Ghana generally have been through under the brutalities of the military.
Thank you very much, Justice Abdullahi, for sharing your views and opinions with us on this matter.
Meanwhile, Dean of Academic Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces Staff College, Dr. Vladimir Ntwidanso, has blamed the incident on the rising indiscipline and the lack of respect for the Constitution and rule of law.
Military personnel on Tuesday stormed Ashaiman, Tulaku and Taifa, brutalizing civilians over the fatal stabbing of a 21-year-old soldier. The Ghana Armed Forces, in a statement, justified the operation, adding it was to fish out criminals involved in the killing. The Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament is slated to visit the community on Thursday, March 16. Meanwhile, human rights group Amnesty International Ghana has called for an independent investigation into the incident. Speaking to TV3, Dean of the Academic Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Professor Vladimir Nchudanso, said the action of the military could have been prevented.
It's regrettable that people have suffered some indignity. It's also regrettable that a soldier is dead. It's also regrettable that we allowed the soldiers to do what they did. If the military hierarchy had not sanctioned the operation, some military officers themselves would have taken it upon themselves to do what they did. Yes, everywhere in the world. It can be America, it can be anywhere. You don't just mistreat the military, because that is the last point of call. It is the bastion of security. If the military fails, the whole nation enters into instability. So it's unthinkable that you see a soldier and kill a soldier. The lesson we have to learn is this, that Ghana is so undisciplined. Indiscipline is gulping Ghana. So what we need to do is to let the civilian population understand that we have to be disciplined, law-abiding. That's number one. For the institutions also to be law-abiding.
He spoke to TV3 during the matriculation ceremony of the 2023-2024 Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College Master of Science in Defense and International Politics program.
Elsewhere, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, fears basic schools face imminent shutdown in the coming weeks if government fails to pay capitation, which has been in arrears for 3 years. According to NAT, it is surprised that the president was quiet and silent on the delay in the payment of capitation grant in the State of the Nation address.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, expressed concern that since the beginning of this year, government has not paid capitation grant. NAT recalled that for the past 3 years, the capitation grant has not been paid, posing a challenge to basic schools. The union was worried the president failed to address when payment will be made in the State of the Nation address. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko, asked government to act swiftly.
Schools have run for 3 years and you have paid capitation grant approximately only one. The question is, where will the funding come from? The teachers? Are we saying that teachers should go and look for money to come and run the schools? No. No, we need to ask ourselves, how are the schools running without capitation grants? How are the schools running? How are the schools running? Okay, and I think that it is about time we correct this thing. The capitation grant must be going. All the resources to the basic schools must be going.
Thomas Musa Tanko asked government to stop paying lip service to education.
Poverty is broken by education. The only weapon and the only bomb that the world is aware of, and heaven and earth is aware of breaking poverty, is education. And that is why it has been made a right and should not be taken away from the child. But sometimes we might not say we are taking it away from the child, but the system itself will create certain hindrances that children cannot go to school. Like I've told you, we are expecting 800,000 children to be born every year. How many schools do we build in a year?
On employment and job creation, the General Secretary had this to say.
The statistics confronting us, you cannot have a system where out of the 100%, only 10% to find job. Then the rest of them, it will take them 10 years. 90%, it will take them 10 years to find job. Look, it's a threat to national security. Okay? We under national security, we call it human security. And it is as serious as any security matter or matters that you could talk about.
An assemblyman from Bepotingting at Amansie Central in the Ashanti region has told an Accra High Court that he compelled Chinese nationals facing charges of illegal mining and others to construct a well in his area as an alternative source of drinking water in 2016. Testifying as the prosecution's 7th witness, Matthew Kwabla Abochi told the court that activities of Aisha Huang led to the destruction and pollution of water bodies in communities such as Sikimi, Subiman, and Jaman, and Bipotinting. He noted that Aisha Huang failed to complete another well, which she started constructing in 2017, and moved to Bipotinting to continue her illegal activities. The trial continues on March 19.
Now, Better Malt has engaged schools with the Better Malt Arts Festival. The event was to enhance creativity in children and promote sanitation through recycling of plastic waste.
The Better Malt Arts Festival focuses on exhibition of creative skills of each basic school pupils through recycling of plastic waste to make artifacts. This is expected to promote sanitation and also exhibits their creative skills. 10 schools showcased their artworks at Flagstaff House Basic School. Chief Executive Officer of Accra Brewery, Chuku Naobi, called on the public to observe good sanitary practices.
So this initiative is a way to enable our young ones to show their creativity while also cleaning up the environment. So it's dual purpose. On the one hand, it's encouraging the creativity of our young ones, and on the other hand, it's encouraging a better world, a world free of plastic, a world where we can take care of our environment and reuse the plastic waste that we generate. Better Malt truly is the only true malt in Ghana.
Cultural education is looking out for companies to come on board, and if companies collaborate with cultural education units in this country, we are very hopeful that patriotism, hard work, truthfulness, loyalty, honesty that we are struggling with will be resurrected.
Reverend Latte Memorial School emerged as the winners for the festival with a cash prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis. Deborah Doreen Soa, a student of Reverend Latte Memorial, was elated. The team's hard work paid off.
We couldn't find so much bottles, but others helped to find them, so it went on well. I feel proud of my school for making it possible. I feel proud of the people who helped in the competition.
Better Malt is a non-alcoholic beverage fortified with vitamins A and C and contains no additives.
And now Malcolm Group of Companies has honored the immediate past editor of Daily Graphic, Kobi Asma, for his contribution to national development. The Malcolm Group Director of Communications, Godwin Avenogbo, at a short ceremony said Ghana has become a peaceful destination for investors and businesses because of the role of journalists.
The Malcolm Group Director of Communications, Godwin Avenogbo, appreciated the work of journalists and also urging them to continue to contribute to Ghana's development.
Our profession is the art of gathering, assessing, creating, and presenting news and information. These key arts make journalism different from other forms of communication. They are also the elements which make journalism indispensable in the practice of democracy in any country. No society, institution, political system or governance system can be described as democratic without the supportive role of professional journalism practitioners.
The immediate past editor of Daily Graphic, Kobi Asma, represented by a delegation of Daily Graphic, expressed their delight.
Graphic has been doing business with Malcolm over the years, and they are one of our biggest clients. They have supported us through business and also corporate social responsibilities. One of these why we are here. And I believe that going forward, the relationship will be deepened. Going forward, there is more with the two of us.
Malcolm Group of Companies also used the occasion to take the media on tour of their state-of-the-art Malcolm Mall located on the Spintex Road. Projecting an outlook ground of 110,000 square feet in basement, the Malcolm Mall also houses and provides services such as a chop bar, the art kitchen, Bella Boutique, among others. It also has outdoor kids play arena, indoor kids play, forex bureau, and travel and tour.
A reminder, you're still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. Still ahead in the bulletin, we've got the very latest in business news with Della Michelle.
The sweet scent of rose in the morning brings me so much joy. Inspired by damask rose and infused with 100% natural rose oil. Introducing new Clay Soft Perfume Beads washing powder. It's like bringing a garden with you everywhere with this wonderful perfume. Take a garden with you everywhere you go with Clay Soft Perfume Beads washing powder.
Tasty Tom tomato mix. Ofa kakra. Na ye bebre. Fa kakra yan kwani stew dodoa ope.
Tasty Tom dear. It will surely give you value for money. Steak and little is enough to get our desired quantity of stew and soup, and it doesn't color your meat or chicken.
Tasty Tom tomato mix into writing and sada. Into customers bar never.
I don't compromise on the quality of my food. Use Tasty Tom enriched tomato mix. This advert is FDA approved.
As a young mom, you're not always sure that you're doing it right. Choosing a baby care product for your child can sometimes be difficult. I choose BabyMed hypoallergenic skincare products, specially formulated to suit my baby's fragile and sensitive skin. A complete range of products that makes every bath time a moment of tenderness and well-being. BabyMed, baby-specific care products.
Hi, I am Richard Nyamakwe. Every day, I meet and interact with many young people who are full of business ideas and passionate about bringing these dreams to life to impact livelihoods and supporting their communities through small businesses. However, these businesses are often shattered or simply remain pipe dreams due to absence of seed capital. So on the occasion of my 38th birthday, the Richard Quay Foundation is providing a free seed capital to 10 young ambitious entrepreneurs who have great business ideas. Let your creative ideas flow now and send along those smart business ideas to info@richardquayfoundation.org. At the end, an independent grand jury will carefully review all business ideas and select 10 most outstanding ideas to walk away with a whopping 25,000 Ghana cedis each as seed capital. 6 months after, Quick Angels Limited will provide more substantial equity funding to those who have done something meaningful with their seed capital. All the best.
I love my life. So the moment the COVID-19 vaccine was available, I went for my job. I want to stay away from getting too sick or even going to the hospital.
Me too. Nothing is more painful than losing your life or a family member or getting sick when you know the vaccine can stop that.
The COVID-19 vaccine is safe. You only live once, so take the vaccine to enjoy your good life. Get vaccinated now. This message is from the Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service with support from USAID and partners.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN.
Welcome back to News 360. It's now time for a business. Dilla, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us what is happening in the world of business.
Well, we have a lot, but one of it is a controversy with regard to cargo that has been on the shores of Ghana for the past 2 weeks. The controversy being whether it's from Russia or Kazakhstan, as we've been told.
That sounds interesting. Take it away.
But let's begin with our main story for this evening, as former Finance Minister Seth Terkper says Ghana's management of oil proceeds should be far better than what has been done for cocoa and gold. Addressing his regular PFM Tax Africa series meetings, Mr. Terkper said it was regrettable that the NPP government depleted funds from both the stabilization and the sinking funds, thus accruing debts for future generations.
Stabilization fund for COVID, it helped, with the Kwame Nkrumah second, disaster the first time it was taken out. It's helped in bringing down our debt. That is the first sovereign bond that we issued. So it is significant, and therefore it means that we can manage it well, to achieve fiscal results. As they say, boxing beyond your weight. So the petroleum funds are very important. We shouldn't look at just, the amount, and dismiss it as this is actually another thing for us to go into the future, because as I said, the IMF SDR and the money taken from the stabilization fund, I believe that, we should remove the cap, right? Or take it slightly up so that we start taking money again, putting into the sinking fund. It shouldn't be fair, to deplete it, and then leave the debt for future generations.
Still on oil-related issues, Bloomberg is insisting that an oil tanker loaded with crude and idling off the coast of Ghana for more than 2 weeks is of Russia origin. The news portal first broke the story in late February, but was rebutted by some local media with claims that the cargo loaded from Kazakhstan. My colleague Sani Abdurrahman has been following up on the controversies surrounding the origin of the crude and reports.
On February 24, a tanker called Theseus arrived in Ghana's territorial waters, destined for storage tanks at the Tema Oil Refinery. The cargo, carrying 600,000 barrels of crude, originated from the Russian Black Sea ports, according to Bloomberg and Ghana's think tank, the Institute for Energy Security. But Accra-based Joy News claimed the cargo was from a port in Kazakhstan and not Russia. Bloomberg has, however, refuted this claim in a new article, providing further details to back its claim that the cargo originated from Russia. Bloomberg insists the tanker loaded from Russia's Black Sea port of Novorossiysk in late January, according to its tanker tracking data and a port agent report it had seen. Separately, a product tanker SCF Yenisei with Russian diesel also arrived at Tema a week ago after loading about 40,000 tons from Russia's Baltic ports in early February, according to a port agent report and ship tracking data compiled by Bloomberg. However, it is yet to discharge. The government may have to provide details about the cargo's origin and who the supplier is. This will help clarify whether the government indirectly sourced the cheap Russian product to augment its gold for oil program. The National Petroleum Authority declined to comment when 3 Business reached out.
And of course, we're monitoring this particular development to get the response needed, especially from government. Let's bring you some Forex updates. Analysts are projecting a rise in demand for the US dollar as the first quarter of 2023 inches to a close. This is likely to put sustained pressure on the cedi. The cedi has experienced fluctuations this year with regular spot-on interventions by the Bank of Ghana aimed at easing the pressures on the market. Kojo Lecha is a market watcher.
Demand on the whole had, dwindled from last week up to this week. So we had quite a number of offers for dollar on the market. On Wednesday, we closed the dollar cedi around 12.15 bids, 12.35 offers. Yesterday, the market opened quite low, around the 12.20 levels. Just around midday, we saw that the dollar cedi had risen to around 12.40, 12.60 levels. This is obviously due to increased demand. So obviously, pricing becomes an issue when there's a lot of demand for dollar. We're in the last month for the first quarter this year, and it's a cyclical thing. It's expected that demand for dollar would steadily, ramp up till the first month of quarter 2, 2023. So we're expecting a sustained demand for dollar from now till maybe ending of April.
Farmers could face shortages of agro inputs as over 400 containers filled with the supplies remain stuck at the Tema port over high import charges. The Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana disclosed this to Twi Business that about 120 stuck containers have since attracted heavy demurrage, creating another layer of cost for the suppliers. There's more in the following report. Agro imports used to have incentives that promoted chemical supplies to boost food production. However, the recently passed exemption law imposed a 5% total import levy while removing VAT on these imports. What looked like a relief, according to the agro imports dealers, have rather increased their total import cost. The development, the Chamber of Agribusiness says, has resulted in hundreds of containers filled with supplies stuck at the port. The supplies include vaccines for livestock, poultry feed additives, and other vitamin supplements for aquatics. Anthony Morrison is Chief Executive of the Agribusiness Chamber.
one major headache facing all the agriculture input importers, be it livestock or crops, is the issue of the 5% total import levy. As we speak, for the past 1.5 months, over 400 containers, a lot of feed additives, and also agro inputs have been stuck at the harbour as we speak.
According to the chamber, the agro-imports may expire if not cleared in time, resulting in farmers not getting adequate supplies. And that's all the business news we have for you. The sports news with Yao Ofosulabi after this break. Stay with us.
What does money mean to you?
It means convenience. It gives me the ability to do business at my own pace.
It allows me to live my life with ease and enjoy my lifestyle without interruptions.
Security. I can make investments I can trust, and I know exactly where my money is all the time.
Having the flexibility to do what I want to.
The feeling and peace of mind I get knowing I can safely receive remittances from my family and friends from the comfort of my home. Money means safety.
Money means so many things to so many people, but no matter what you use it for or what it may mean to you, money is the one thing that keeps us going and makes our lives a little bit brighter. So what does money mean to you? Just Momo it.
MTN.
Maria, I'm still like a crack. Oh, like a crave is like, oh, Maria, Poma Sherry.
The beer, Amelia Fakaka. So,
Amelia, Zumwa, Bedimuna, then I said, Bam,
Mammy, hi, Manumbella.
And that was a video. Eat
a Pomo tomato mixer, no.
When you come while you don't, hey. Nothing going on.
Hey, a Pomo tomato mixo. Pomo, no.
Charlie, nobody love coming. If they don't love, no.
If the Pomo tomato mixo. Pomo, no.
Pomo tomato mix, aye, the natural tomato, aye, a cocoa, kama, a whoopee. Fiber when in no munti, Emma would be a near destro commander for 4 years. This advert is FDA approved.
See, you gotta have a smile, no matter what it takes. Then you gotta take perk down, love the way it tastes. Feel the perky buzz from your toes to your face. You gotta take perk down, perky it today. Say oh, 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 oh. You gotta take perk down, perky it today. Say oh, 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 oh. You gotta take
Perk up anywhere, even at home, with the rich milky taste of Peck biscuits. This advert is FDA approved.
Sports segment is brought to you by
Consolidated Bank Ghana, CBG.
Hi, good evening. Let's do sports news now here on News 360. My name is Yao Ofosulabi. It's our first story. And beginning from the AFCON 2023 qualifiers, and no local player was named by Chris Hughton for Ghana's doubleheader against Angola later this month. High performance specialist for FIFA, Faisal Chipsa, explains why the quality from the local league is inadequate for the Black Stars.
The recipe for me is very simple. It's better educators, better coaches, it's better players. And if we are not producing the best of coaches here, I don't think we can produce the best of players. And you can tell we have a coaching problem for sure. So that's where the focus should be. You know, it shouldn't just be organizing courses and charging for coaches to come, because we all know the best coaches may not have the funds to attend. So how can we make coach education easily accessible to most people, especially in the grassroots and the foundation level, so they can teach the right skills to the players? We also have to do a lot of research, in my opinion. Let's research our own game and look at where we lack. Why are there so many gaps and spaces in our football? We need to research, we need to feed that back to the coaches and bring the coaches together to discuss. These are the football problems that are unique to us, and that's where we have to start from and start having conversations about these problems and also sharing the solutions among ourselves. It shouldn't just be one person only. I see coaches going on attachment all the time, but how can the rest of the coaching community benefit from these attachments? If one or two go and everybody else don't benefit from that, then that's not coach education for me. So it should be more than just organizing courses and charging for people to attend. We got to do more than that, in my opinion.
But as far as our chips are there, who's high performance expert at FIFA. To some more stories, and as players in the Ghana Premier League failed to earn call-ups to the Black Stars, Asante Kotoko's leading goal scorer, Stephen Dese Mukwala, has been enlisted in the Ugandan national team for the upcoming games against Tanzania in the AFCON qualifiers. Ugandan journalist Clive Kiaze justifies the forward's inclusion in the Cranes.
Him being part of the national team, especially when he's not playing in the domestic league, is what you would say probably an added advantage. And the fact that he's also been in fine form, that was a no-brainer for the coaches to give him consideration. Because if you're going into a campaign where you're playing back-to-back games against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania, you will need all your best players available. And Stephen Mukwala currently is one of our best players, or one of our strikers, the informed strikers, because we have a challenge of having perennial strikers, people who are going to score the goals and all that. We'll have a number of them, and not 7 of them will be able to do the job. When you look at the current strikers who are eligible to represent Uganda at international level, you would say he's one of those who is in fine form currently, if not the only one. So he's summoning on the Cranes team to prepare for that match, 24th game against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania, a game that will be played in Egypt at the Suez Canal Authority Stadium on March 24th, then the return leg on April 7th at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Tanzania was bound to happen because of his current form, but also because he has always been a member of the national team setup.
Well, that's Clive Kiaze there, who's a sports journalist, speaking on Stephen Mukwala's inclusion into the Ugandan national team as the Cranes. Now, still on the local league, because there are GPL fixtures for you. The Gold Stars will take on Accra Hearts of Oak. That game comes off on Saturday at 3 p.m. And then Accra Great Olympics will also face Samatex. It's also at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Adriana will face Mediama SC also at 3 p.m. RTU take on Tamale City. It's a Tamale derby. The last time it ended in superb fashion. This time around is also, we're expecting a really good game in that game. RTU taking on Tamale City. And then Kotoku Royals will face Bechem United. Karela will take on Insua Treman. And then Brekum Chelsea will also face Legon Cities. And on Monday, Accra Lions will be at the Accra Sports Stadium where they take on Dreams FC. Well, that's all the sports news this evening here on News 360. My name is Yao Ofosula of Entertainment News and International. We'll come after the break.
OneXBet, reliable bookmaker with high odds, wide selection on events, and bonuses for every taste. OneXBet, easy use, easy win.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years.
Water is life. Water gives life. Water moves through nature in a never-ending cycle. Observe the beauty of water as it flows all around us, refreshing and restoring. Gaze in wonder at the stillness and beauty of nature. There's harmony in nature everywhere around. Water revitalizes the body and keeps you going strong. Water is life. Water gives life. Drink Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. So relax and unwind and in the calmness of nature, find the rest you desire. For every bottle of Awake you buy, an amount to be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert is said here.
Wake up! We have just 50 minutes to set off.
Let's go.
We want jollof for school.
Show time.
I'll make jollof.
Jollof? We have 45 minutes. What about the cutting, chopping, blending?
Tasty Tom Jollof Mix has all the ingredients to make jollof already mixed in the pack.
Is it going to taste the same?
So you say da.
And if a jollof no hooking me.
Pour oil. Add 1 pack of 210 grams Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Fry for 10 minutes. Add water, some cube, and salt. Add rice. In 45 minutes. Sharp. No jollof now being. Right on time.
Delicious jollof and in 45 minutes?
How? Easy cry. Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Delicious jollof. Sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water.
I'm completely lost for words. I mean, can you imagine Richie was warning me? I mean,
because he knows how you get when you see Anita.
He's been talking into my ears, warning me about Anita.
Yeah.
So Anita,
looks like you're using all the time to talk about what
you're to say, but you look good.
Thank you. You look good as well.
Yes, I'm the new Willamo in town.
Oh, nice.
So when you see me in town, just say hi to me.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Where are you from anyway?
Honestly, tonight I don't know where I'm from.
You don't know?
Yes, maybe you give me one of the regions.
Sure, I will. Right after. Take it over.
My name is Anita Ikia Ekufuani. In the spirit of celebrating Ghana Month, we're taking a look at the state of some of Ghana's popular movie cinemas. One of them, the Roxy Cinema in Adabraka, which used to attract hundreds of moviegoers, is now in a sorry state. Owusu Orai took a tour to the abandoned cinema and reports the entertainment facility has sadly been taken over by squatters and turned into a refuse collection point.
In decades gone by, cinemas were central to the growth of entertainment in Ghana. Accra could boast of a number of well-patronized cinemas then, the likes of Rex, Globe, Orion, Opera, Royal, Oxford, Orbit, Casino, Vision 66, Plaza and Palladium cinemas, all in Accra, aired movies and musicals on weekends and weekdays. These spaces attracted hundreds of movie enthusiasts who joined long queues to watch major blockbusters. Standing proudly along the Circle at Adabraka Road on the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, the Roxy Cinema served moviegoers in the late 80s and 90s. Uncle Sam, a native of Adabraka, recalls the glory days of the Roxy Cinema.
It was one of the #1 cinemas in Accra. On weekends, they bring new movies. So we normally come here to satisfy ourselves with the movies. Before you come to the cinema, you have to form a long queue and then join. And then there were other guards who were gardeners, policemen and so on. They were caning us and so on. So every time, people were rushing too much. There were a whole lot of people, crowd. You can't believe it.
During those days, we were having the nice movies. Chinese movies, Indian movies, Love in Tokyo, 5 Shaolin Masters, Disciples of Shaolin, Guantanamo Buddha Show, The Drunken Master. Whenever there's going to be a very big movie, people even bring drums, percussions, coming to support the Bloma, the so-called Bloma. People pay tickets. Some also want to cross the line. Because we want to go and catch early seats in first so they can watch the movie very well.
67-year-old Lime, aka Yai, grew up in Adabraka and used to frequent Roxy.
We used to come here night, when we buy food dress, we come to Roxy, with our guests and everything, I'm worried because it's not functioning. It's not functioning. When you enter the place now, Charlie, when you see Charlie, everything, Charlie, Bazaar, something.
The once grand and imposing cinema, a timeless heritage, the pride of Adabraka, the Roxy Cinema has turned into an abandoned building, attracting squatters and engulfed in filth.
This was where the movie was showing, and you could see or find a lot of people seated here, actually having a good time watching all the beautiful movies then. But now the place has been taken over by squatters. And so when you come here, the place looks messy, and it's something people in the community who have experienced the place before are not so excited about.
Renowned Ghanaian movie producer Socrates Safo used to screen his films at this venue in the 90s.
I've personally taken a tour to some of the centers. Don't blame the owners. The owners of the cinema halls did the right thing. It would be stupid of any owner of a cinema hall to still keep it in waiting for producers to be sensible enough to bring their films. The captains were having, I think, about 7 cinema halls scattered around Accra. And they employ cleaners, managers, operators, security men and all that. Every month they pay them. And the producers who were supposed to bring their films to them to show, to make money to cover these costs, have given the films free to TV stations. And the people are watching at the TV stations. And you expect Captain to keep paying this cost. Does it make sense? They are not the producers of the movies. They have built the place for you to come and let's do business. And you have decided to give the film free, and you are not making anything out of it. What should they do? So it is right to cut costs.
It remains the wish of the folks in Adabraka and other stakeholders in the entertainment industry that the iconic venue is restored to serve the community.
All the benches there should be clear up. So use that place as a recreational center. That will boost the place again.
Now, there are people in it who doesn't make any impact on the economy. We want the place to be revived so that many people will have job in it.
And now reigning GMB queen, Tunteya Dahamani, will be having a grand derby tomorrow at the Tamale Sports Stadium to launch her project. The derby starts at exactly 10 a.m. and we wish Teya the best as she opens yet another beautiful chapter to touch and impact lives. That'll be all for entertainment. My name is Anita Ikuya Ikufu. Up next is international news.
Mali's military rulers are postponing a constitutional referendum which was due to take place later this month and was supposed to be a key milestone of the planned transition to civilian rule. Last July, the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, lifted sanctions on Mali after the military leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, said elections will be held in February next year. Correspondents say the decision to postpone the referendum was no surprise and will prompt suspicion that Colonel Goïta wants to prolong his stay in power. Mali is currently facing a growing security crisis with frequent attacks by jihadist groups. Kenya this week rolled out a campaign using the world's first vaccine against malaria to inoculate more than 400,000 children against the mosquito-borne disease. Kenya's government aims to vaccinate at least 300,000 children annually against malaria in a new initiative, particularly in the 8 malaria-prone regions. The mass vaccination.
Right, so that's how we end the news. It came to you live from our studios here at Adesawe in Kanda. As you can see, I'm the new Wolomo in town. When you see me anywhere, just call me Pakwesi Asare.
That's your name, Pakwesi. My name is Aisha Yakubu Hali. There's more news on 3news.com.